Chosen one. Take a breath and recognize this moment for what it truly is, a divine appointment. You did not stumble onto this message by accident. Heaven scheduled this encounter, aligned your spirit, and brought you here at the exact second your heart was ready to receive revelation. Something is shifting around you quietly, powerfully, unmistakably. You are standing at the threshold of a supernatural transfer, a divine realignment that will shape your path in ways you cannot yet see. The end of November is not just a date on the calendar. It is an appointed time, a sacred window where God Himself steps into your story with intention and precision. Chosen one. The Lord has seen your tears, your patience, your obedience, and your silent endurance. And now, just as written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision awaits its appointed time, though it tarry, wait for it will surely come and will not delay. You are entering that moment. Something or someone is about to be removed, not as punishment, but as preparation. The pruning is proof of the promise. This is the beginning of your rise, the unlocking of your next level, and the signal that heaven is preparing you for breakthrough. Chosen one. Listen closely, because this first shift is already stirring in your spirit, even before your mind can make sense of it. You've been carrying weight in silence, waiting, praying, enduring what others never saw, and heaven has watched every moment. The end of November is not just a deadline on a calendar. It is a spiritual crossing, a doorway where God begins to make distinctions in your life that you were too loyal, too loving, or too hopeful to make on your own. You've held on longer than most people would have. You've forgiven when your heart was still bruised. You've stayed quiet when you had every right to defend yourself. And yet, chosen one, your spirit kept bleeding behind the scenes, hidden beneath obedience, patience, and grace. Heaven has decided that enough is enough. I know what it feels like to carry someone in your life out of love, habit, or shared history, hoping they'd change, hoping the connection would heal, hoping the silence would soften the tension. I've been there, trusting that if I just held on a little longer, they would rise with me. But God showed me a hard truth. Some people cannot go where you're going. They are tied to the version of you that God has already outgrown. And when heaven is ready to promote you, He will begin moving people, even those you once depended on, out of your path. Not to harm you, but to protect the promise on your life. Chosen one, you feel this in your spirit already. Something has been misaligned. Something has been dimming your clarity, draining your peace, or whispering confusion into your calling. And though this person may not be an enemy, their presence has become a weight that heaven can no longer allow you to carry. This is why God is stepping in. This is why the separation will not be subtle this time. It will be clear, decisive, and final. Because this is not just a social shift, it is a divine pruning, the kind Jesus spoke of in John chapter 15 verse 2, when He said, "The branches that bear fruit must be pruned so they can bear even more." You are entering that pruning now, and though your heart might tighten at the thought of release, your spirit knows the truth. You cannot rise while protecting what God is trying to remove. You cannot step into your next level while holding on to someone whose season has expired. And deep down, you know this. You felt the tension, the unread messages, the unpredictable moods, the emotional distance, the subtle disrespect, the way your peace disappears after every conversation. Heaven has been whispering warnings long before this message found you. Chosen one. This removal is not a punishment, it is positioning. God is freeing space, holy space, for the miracle, the breakthrough, the supernatural alignment waiting on the other side of November. Someone new, someone aligned, someone anointed may be entering your life soon, but they cannot come in until the wrong presence exits. This is heaven's intervention. This is divine timing, and this is the first sign that your supernatural transfer is already unfolding. Chosen one. As we move deeper into this revelation, you must understand something essential. When God removes a person at the end of November, He is not just closing a chapter, He is clearing spiritual congestion that has been blocking your discernment, your energy, and your ability to hear Him clearly. You may not have realized it, but this person's presence has created a haze around your purpose. Their words, even the kind ones, carried subtle weight. Their energy often left you drained instead of nourished. Their connection felt familiar, yet it never fully aligned with your spirit. And heaven has decided that the ambiguity ends now. This isn't just a separation, it's a spiritual intervention. Chosen one. I've lived this myself. I remember a season when someone stayed in my life long after God had withdrawn His grace from the relationship. Nothing dramatic happened, no fights, no betrayal, just a slow leaking of peace. I kept telling myself it was just stress or timing or misunderstandings, but when God wants to free you, He will start by showing you the difference between what feeds you and what drains you. I ignored the signs until everything in my spirit felt heavy. When God finally removed this person, I didn't understand it at first. It felt painful and confusing, but months later, clarity rushed in like light through an open window. I realized that their presence had kept me anchored to an older version of myself that God was trying to deliver me from. That experience taught me something I now speak over you. God will remove what you refuse to release, not to punish you, but to protect you from delay. Chosen one. Heaven sees what you cannot. Heaven sees intentions you never heard spoken, sees the silent competition beneath their encouragement, sees the dependency hidden beneath their affection, sees the insecurity that reacted whenever your light grew brighter. And heaven also sees the calling on your life, one too big, too weighty, too spiritually expensive to be entangled with someone who cannot grow with you. This removal is not random, it is surgical, it is precise, it is planned. And here is the truth, your spirit already knows. Divine separation always precedes divine elevation. What feels like loss is actually acceleration. What feels like subtraction is preparation for multiplication. What feels like heartbreak is a recalibration of your destiny. You are stepping into a timeline where alignment matters more than attachment, where peace matters more than history, where calling matters more than comfort. Chosen one. I want you to sit with this. God is not removing a person. He is removing interference. He is removing distraction. He is removing loyalty to an emotional past so He can position you for a spiritual future. People are not bad, seasons are simply different. And some seasons require solitude, silence, and surrender so you can hear God without distortion. This is one of those seasons. The end of November marks a divine reset. And after this departure, your clarity will return, your energy will rise, your confidence will increase, your purpose will sharpen, your spirit will breathe again. Because when God clears a space, He fills it quickly with alignment, with elevation, with supernatural favor. You are closer to that than you realize. Chosen one. As you step into this next layer of revelation, you must understand that heaven's movements in your life are never impulsive. They are intentional, strategic, and deeply rooted in divine timing. And this end of November separation is the clearest sign yet that God is shifting your trajectory in ways your spirit has been longing for, but your mind has not yet fully grasped. This person has been woven into your journey for a season, but seasons change, and what once supported your growth has now begun to limit it, which is why God is stepping in with a decisive hand. You may feel the emotional pull of memories, shared moments, or the familiar comfort of their presence, but deep within your spirit, you already sense that something hasn't aligned for a long time. Conversations have felt heavier. Interactions have felt more draining than uplifting. Their silence has cut deeper than their words, and the inconsistency has become too loud to ignore. Yet, out of compassion you held on, out of hope you tried again, out of loyalty you stayed longer than your spirit wanted to. But heaven has observed the tension, the confusion, the invisible weight pressing against your calling, and now heaven is saying, enough. This separation is not a reaction to your weakness, it is a response to your purpose. I know firsthand what it feels like when God begins removing someone who once felt essential. It's as if you're standing in the doorway of a home you've lived in for years, holding a key that no longer fits the lock, wondering if you misheard God or misunderstood the season. But chosen ones rarely understand pruning while it is happening. Clarity only comes after the release. When God removed someone from my path, it shattered me at first. I questioned myself. I questioned timing. I questioned everything. But as days turned to weeks, I noticed something. My mind became clearer. My spirit became lighter. My decisions felt sharper. My prayers regained power. And I realized that the person God removed wasn't bad. They were simply tied to a chapter I had outgrown. Their presence kept me anchored in a version of myself that God had already transformed. That revelation changed me forever, and now I speak it over you with authority. God is removing this person because your next level demands a cleaner atmosphere, a freer emotional landscape, and a spirit unhindered by mixed signals or divided loyalty. Chosen one. This is not abandonment, this is alignment. This is not loss, this is liberation. This is not rejection, this is redirection. God is making room for the clarity you prayed for, the peace you've been missing, and the promotion you've been prepared for. And here is a truth that will settle your heart. People leave, but purpose remains. Attachments fade, but calling endures. Seasons shift, but destiny does not. After this November separation, expect your intuition to sharpen, expect divine ideas to flow, expect supernatural opportunities to appear, expect relationships aligned with your calling, not your comfort, to be drawn into your life. You may not see it yet, but this removal is the first domino in a chain reaction of blessings, breakthroughs, and divine movements that will mark the beginning of an entirely new chapter of your destiny. Chosen one. As we enter this next wave of revelation, you must prepare your heart for what heaven is orchestrating behind the scenes, because the separation coming at the end of November is not merely circumstantial, it is deeply spiritual, profoundly strategic, and designed to lift you out of the emotional density that has been slowing your ascension. God is not removing this person to punish you or shame them. He is removing them because the path you're about to walk is narrower, holier, and far more demanding than anything you've stepped into before, and the atmosphere around you must be purified for what's coming next. There are callings that cannot be answered with crowded rooms. There are breakthroughs that cannot be birthed in noisy environments. There are blessings that cannot be received while surrounded by divided loyalties. And heaven has seen that this person's presence, though once meaningful, has begun to dilute your focus, cloud your intuition, and interfere with the instructions God has been whispering into your spirit. Chosen one, I want to speak to you from a place of lived experience, because I once walked through a season where God removed someone I thought would be with me forever. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't explosive. It was quiet, almost gentle, like God had placed his hand between us and slowly pushed our paths apart. At first I resisted. I prayed for restoration. I questioned myself endlessly. But looking back, I realized something crucial my spirit had been grieving long before the separation actually happened. I felt unseen, unheard, and emotionally drained, yet I kept trying to make it work, because I believed loyalty meant staying, even when my soul was suffocating. What I didn't understand then, but what I understand now, is that loyalty to someone who's out of alignment with your destiny becomes disobedience to God. And when God wants to elevate you, he will first remove what cannot rise with you. Chosen one, that is the exact place you're standing in right now. You might not see the full picture yet, but heaven sees everything, every hidden intention, every quiet insecurity, every moment where this person subtly pulled your energy downward, every time their presence disrupted your peace. And because God loves you too deeply to let you sabotage your own future through attachment, he is intervening. Sometimes God removes people not because they are bad, but because they have reached the limit of the role they were meant to play in your story. Keeping them beyond that point leads to stagnation, confusion, and delayed purpose. And you, chosen one, are entering a season where delay is no longer tolerable. This end of November separation is not random timing, it is alignment. It is heaven opening the gate to your next chapter. After this release, expect a surge of clarity like fresh air filling your lungs. Expect decisions to become easier because emotional noise will be gone. Expect your confidence to rise because your spirit will no longer be entangled with someone who questioned, minimized, or misunderstood your calling. And here is the prophetic truth. Heaven needs you to hear. This separation is the key that unlocks your supernatural transfer. The blessing waiting for you has been held back, not by God, but by the weight of misalignment. Once this person is gone, doors will open faster, opportunities will flow easier, and connections aligned with your purpose will be drawn to you as if magnetized by heaven itself. This is pruning with purpose. This is removal with reason. This is God preparing the soil of your life for an unprecedented harvest. Chosen one. As we move into this next dimension of the message, you need to understand something that very few people ever discern in time when God removes a person from your life, especially at a spiritually sensitive moment like the end of November. It is never just about that person. It is about the version of you that God is calling forth. Every elevation requires a shedding. Every breakthrough requires a clearing. Every divine promotion requires that you step out of emotional agreements that no longer reflect who you are becoming. And heaven has seen that this individual, whether they know it or not, has been anchoring you to cycles you were meant to outgrow. Their presence has become a spiritual tether tying you to a season God is now pulling you out of. Chosen one, I've lived through this kind of divine interruption before. There was a time in my life when I felt God pulling me away from someone I deeply cared about, someone I thought would walk with me into every future chapter. But gradually, I noticed the subtle shifts, the way conversations felt heavier, the way I left, feeling more confused, then strengthened the way their presence pulled me inward rather than upward. At first, I blamed myself. Then, I tried to compensate. Then, I tried to pray the tension away. But the more I tried to fix it, the clearer it became. God was not asking me to repair that connection. He was asking me to release it. And when the separation finally came, it felt like a tearing. But weeks later, clarity began flooding in like light breaking into a dim room. I realized that I had been spiritually dehydrated without even noticing, pouring myself into someone who could not pour back at the same depth. That separation was not a loss, it was a rescue. Chosen One Heaven is orchestrating the same rescue for you. This person's exit is a divine safeguard. God sees motives you cannot read. God hears conversations you were never meant to hear. God perceives spiritual influences that do not belong near your calling. You're stepping into a higher dimension of purpose, and not everyone is built for that altitude. Some people cannot breathe where you are going. Some people cannot handle the weight of your assignment. Some people will unconsciously sabotage your elevation because your growth triggers their insecurity. And so before God opens the next set of doors, before He releases the next wave of opportunity, before He unlocks the next level of spiritual favor, He is clearing the atmosphere of misalignment. You may feel the sting of release now, but soon you will understand that God removed them to give you back to yourself, your clarity, your peace, your confidence, your strength. After this separation, you will notice something powerful. Your mind will quiet, your emotions will stabilize, your creativity will return, and the path ahead will feel unmistakably illuminated. Because when the wrong presence exits, the right blessings enter swiftly. Chosen One, this is the doorway to your supernatural transfer. This is the moment where heaven prioritizes your future over your feelings. And though it may feel like subtraction, it is actually multiplication disguised as loss. Trust this pruning. Trust this timing. Trust this shift. Because what is coming after November will make you thank God for every closed door, every quiet goodbye, and every divine removal. Chosen One. As we step again into the heart of this message, I want you to feel the weight of what heaven is truly doing in your life. The end of November is not just marking the removal of a person, it is marking the end of a cycle, a spiritual loop that has kept your heart tied to an outdated version of yourself. This is not simply the closing of a relationship. It is the closing of a spiritual atmosphere that has hovered over you for far too long. The Anointed One within you already senses this shift. Your spirit has been whispering for months, maybe even years, that something in this connection was no longer aligned. You've felt the internal tug of war, the emotional fog, the heaviness that appears after certain conversations, the subtle confusion that settles in your chest, but you kept pushing through, hoping loyalty could fix what heaven was signaling you to release. Chosen One. Let this truth settle into your spirit. Sometimes God removes a person not because they are evil, but because their season in your life has expired. Their presence has been stitching you to an older version of yourself, a version God has already outgrown, a version He is calling you to lay down. This separation is heaven saying you cannot carry yesterday into tomorrow and still expect breakthrough. And though your heart may resist this truth, your spirit already knows it's time. I understand this deeply because I've walked through a similar pruning. There was someone in my life who felt familiar, comforting, even spiritually significant. But over time, I noticed small things, the way my peace disappeared after being around them, how I questioned myself more often, how my discernment dulled in their presence. I kept telling myself to be patient, to pray through it, to hope for better days. But God was quietly whispering, "This is not alignment. This is attachment." When heaven finally removed them, it was shocking and painful at first. But the moment the dust settled, clarity flooded back into my life. It felt like my spirit could breathe again. Only then did I see how much weight I'd been carrying just to keep a connection alive that God had already released. Chosen one. This is what God is doing for you now. Heaven sees the hidden motives you never detected. Heaven hears the unspoken thoughts that never reached your ears. Heaven knows the spiritual pull this person placed on you, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes from their own brokenness. But either way, it was affecting your destiny. And because God loves you too deeply to let you sabotage your future, He is stepping in with divine precision. This removal is not rejection, it is protection. It is God removing the last doorway back into cycles that wounded you, drained you, or distracted you from your calling. Once this person exits at the end of November, expect an immediate shift, peace returning to your chest, clarity sharpening your decisions, creativity flowing again, and a renewed sense of self rising like fresh breath inside your soul. This is heaven clearing the path for your next elevation, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will hinder what God is preparing to release over your life. Chosen one. As we move into this next unveiling, you must recognize that the end of November is not simply a date. It is a divine checkpoint where heaven evaluates what can go forward with you and what must stay behind. This separation is not random, not emotional, not circumstantial. It is spiritual law in motion. When God is preparing you for elevation, He removes anything that could sabotage the next dimension of your calling. And the truth your spirit has been trying to communicate to you is this: not everyone who walked with you into this season is meant to walk with you into the next. Some connections were meant only to wake up parts of you, teach you lessons, strengthen your discernment, and reveal your worth. But now, their assignment is complete. Chosen one. You may not fully see it yet, but this removal is a doorway into acceleration. Heaven is about to move you into rooms that require clarity, not confusion, strength, not emotional drain, focus, not spiritual distraction. And the person God is removing carried an energy that would have weighed you down in the places you are about to step into. Their presence, no matter how familiar, kept you operating in a lower spiritual frequency, one that cannot sustain the magnitude of the blessings being prepared for you. You prayed for growth, you prayed for breakthrough, you prayed for a new chapter, and heaven heard you. But new chapters require clean pages. God cannot write the next part of your destiny while an old attachment keeps scribbling in the margins. I've seen this in my own journey. Every major leap forward in my life came after God took someone out of it, someone I never imagined losing, someone I cared about, someone I thought would walk beside me for years. At the time, it felt like a wound. But later, with spiritual hindsight, I realized those removals were heaven's rescue missions. They were preventing me from becoming smaller just to keep someone comfortable. They were freeing my spirit from emotional noise so I could hear God clearly again. They were setting me up for blessings that would have been impossible if I had stayed tied to the wrong energy. And every time without fail, something extraordinary happened. Shortly after each separation, doors opened effortlessly, opportunities aligned seamlessly, my strength returned, and the air around me felt lighter, cleaner, holier. That's the same pattern God is activating in your life right now. Chosen one. Once this person is removed, once their energy, their voice, their influence is no longer touching your spirit, you're going to feel a shift you cannot explain. Ideas will return. Confidence will rise. You'll wake up with renewed purpose, renewed clarity, renewed spiritual fire. You'll realize that the heaviness you thought was life was actually their presence pressing against your destiny. And the moment they exit, heaven's wind fills the room again. This separation is not the end of something, it is the beginning of you. It is the moment your spirit finally stands without interference. It is the moment heaven positions you for divine transfer, supernatural provision, and accelerated elevation. And when the dust settles, you will look back and say with certainty, God did not take anything from me. He gave me back everything I had forgotten I was. Chosen one. As we enter this final movement of the message, you must understand that what God is doing at the end of November is not simply removing a person, it is resetting the entire spiritual architecture of your life. This is a holy clearing, a divine recalibration, the moment when heaven removes the last obstruction so your destiny can finally breathe. You may feel the emotional sting of release now, but your spirit already knows this is the doorway you must walk through to access the life you've been praying for. What is leaving you is not your future, it is your past disguised as comfort. What is being taken away is not stability, it is the illusion of it. And what is being emptied is the very space God needs, open to pour out what He has been holding for you. Chosen one. One of the hardest lessons God ever taught me came in a season just like the one you're in. Someone I valued deeply, someone I trusted, someone whose voice had shaped parts of me was suddenly removed. At first, it felt like an ending, but as the days passed, something unexpected happened. A clarity I didn't know I'd lost returned. Peace I didn't know I was missing settled in my spirit. My prayers felt sharper, my energy lighter, my steps more intentional. And I realized something profound. Sometimes God removes people not because of who they are, but because of who you are becoming. Their presence served your former self, but your future self requires a different atmosphere. That revelation changed my entire walk with God, and I share it with you because your life is entering that same kind of transformation. After this separation, heaven will move quickly. Doors that have been stuck will begin to open. Ideas that felt blocked will flow with ease. Connections that seemed impossible will suddenly appear. You will find yourself thinking clearer, hearing God sharper, and moving with a confidence you haven't felt in years. The heaviness, the confusion, the emotional exhaustion, it will all begin to dissolve because it was never yours. You were carrying the weight of someone else's season, someone else's insecurities, someone else's spiritual imbalance, and God in His mercy is lifting that off of you. Chosen one. You must also know this: the removal at the end of November is not random timing. Heaven chose this moment because it aligns with what is being released over your life in the months ahead. This door has to close before the next one can open. This chapter must end before the next can begin. And this person's exit is the final sign that your supernatural transfer is already in motion. What was delayed will be delivered. What was held back will be released. What was confusing will become crystal clear. God is not just removing, He is replacing. He is restoring. He is rebuilding. When you look back months from now, you will not see loss. You will see divine orchestration. You will see how God removed one person to bring the right people, the right opportunities, the right alignment into your life. And you will say with confidence, if that separation had not happened, I would never have stepped into the life God planned for me. Chosen one. The end of November is not the end. It is your beginning. Your rise starts here. Your clarity starts here. Your divine positioning starts here. Heaven has cleared the path. Now walk forward, lighter, stronger, and fully aligned with the destiny written for you before time began. Chosen one. As we come to the close of this message, take a moment to feel the quiet shift settling around you. This is not ordinary silence. This is the stillness that comes when heaven finishes speaking and begins moving. You are standing at a divine threshold, a point in time marked long before you understood your own calling. The end of November is not the end of something familiar. It is the beginning of something appointed, sacred, and deeply transformative. Chosen one. God is not removing this person to wound you. He is removing them to free you. Their departure is the final unlocking of a door you've been pressing toward in the spirit for months. Their absence clears the atmosphere, so the blessing you've been praying for can finally breathe. What leaves your life now is not loss. It is the dismantling of emotional weight that was slowing your destiny. Heaven is clearing space for the supernatural transfer already flowing toward you. You have endured, remained faithful, held on through the silent seasons, and waited through the spiritual fog. Now the one who saw every tear, every prayer, every quiet night of questioning is saying, it is time. Time for clarity, time for elevation, time for alignment, time for the version of you that heaven has been shaping in secret to finally rise. Chosen. One, receive this truth into your spirit. You are stepping into acceleration. After this November separation, things will move faster. Doors, opportunities, ideas, relationships, strength. You will feel lighter because the weight you carried wasn't your own. You will feel clearer because confusion was tied to a presence God has now removed. You will feel more aligned because the interference has been broken off your path. May the peace of God settle over you like a mantle. May His wisdom sharpen your discernment. May His presence remind you that nothing He removes is ever meant to harm you, only to prepare you for what is coming. What you are about to step into requires room, reverence, and readiness, and heaven has ensured that nothing unnecessary remains attached to your spirit. Chosen. This stirred your heart. If something in your spirit whispered, this is for me, let heaven record your agreement. Offer your yes, not loudly, not anxiously, but sacredly. Type it with intentionality. As an act of alignment, I receive it, Lord. And if you feel led, you may like, share, or subscribe, not out of routine, but as a way to stay connected to the flow of prophetic guidance meant for your journey. Walk forward now, anointed one. The atmosphere has shifted. The gate before you is open. What leaves your life now makes room for what heaven has prepared. Step into your next chapter with confidence, clarity, and quiet surrender. Your breakthrough begins on the other side of November.